Hey, what a lovely day. Good to see you.
Hello there. Happy VD. I mean, happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we got to make sure to say Valentine's Day.
All right.
I don't know about the other one if anybody's happy to have that, but um
Hey, a shot of penicillin in your hind end and it's all done and over with.
right. Yeah. So, but happy Valentine's Day. We're recording this on Valentine's Day. Who knows when you'll be listening to this, but I figured it would be good for us to discuss and talk about love because it's
Love.
something that comes up in therapy. So let's kind of get into that today.
So this will show my age. Love, exciting and new. Come aboard.
We've been
So
waiting
everybody
for
who recognizes
you.
that song will get extra points
Love boat.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
love. Wow. Primary relationships, man, they could be your biggest source of support and they can be your biggest stress for sure.
Yeah. So people define love in so many different ways, and so I guess it's not our goal to seek to really define it or but maybe just kind of clarify that there are many different types of love,
Right?
and let's kind of get into it. Well, we're not going to cover the whole gamut of love per se, but let's just kind of talk about it, especially as it relates to therapy and how we help people, maybe couples rediscover what love is, what love means to them, and being able to express that to each other.
Hmm.
So, because I think people define it in so many different ways that are different than, and they have these expectations. So, if you
Right.
define love as, because how many times have we heard in therapy, well, if he just loved me, then
Right.
he would do X, Y, and Z. He would meet these expectations.
Right.
And he's probably doing other things that in his mind represent or show love. And I mean, I guess we can't touch on love without talking about the five love languages. But we don't have
Right.
to get too into that because that's not our thing. But we reference that in therapy. But yeah, the ways that we define, think about, give, and receive love can be very different. And so if there's a conflict, then
Mhm.
we want to talk about that.
Yeah. And you talk about expectations. That's a great topic. You know, we have societal expectations is, a big one is we have this idea of what we think love should be, right? Because
Mhm.
that's what the media has portrayed, that's what books have portrayed, popular, whatever, so we take these external, excuse me, expectations, and try to, excuse me, and try to incorporate them into our lives. And that doesn't always work. What works for
Right.
other people doesn't work for us. And then you're right. We have within the relationship internal expectations. And what I expect is not what my partner expects. And, as therapists, we break down those expectations between the two people. And then we, go to the external expectations as well.
Yeah. If you guys want a good resource that could help with sort of looking at the different ways love can be described and explained to include case studies. This was a psychiatrist, I think psychiatrist, yeah, a book M. Scott Peck, Dr. Peck put out, The Road Less Traveled. Um,
Yeah.
that could be a good one on the reading list just to kind of go through some of his case studies and how he
Yeah.
kind of sought to help people define love and what that looks like. And it's very different. Um, so
Yeah.
maybe drop that resource in the show notes so you can check that out. The Road Less Traveled, M. Scott.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
And I like the love languages. I don't do any couples therapy without mentioning, the love languages.
Hmm.
And well, most people are somewhat aware of that, but it's, the different ways that we feel loved and that we express love. And everyone is different, and their expressing and feeling are can also be different.
Yeah.
Um, so those five love languages, Tom, you're better at this remembering this than I am.
Well, acts of service is one of
Acts of
them,
service.
but doing things for somebody else that shows that, we care about them, that we love them. Words of affirmation,
Uh-huh.
that can be a way that somebody gives and receives love. And keep in mind that we're not necessarily like all one thing. We're probably a hodgepodge of all these different things, but maybe we lean or gravitate towards another one. Physical touch is a way that we can give and receive love. By the way, a lot of men that I come across, that's a predominant one is
Yeah,
physical touch. Not the only one, but
yeah,
it's a pretty big one.
yeah. And I
Um,
think that, society has played a role into that. We all grew up with sex equals love, and we know
right.
that that's not always the case. And sex is just the acts of physical touch.
Right. So I mean, when women, kind of, well, that's all he's after is sex. Well, it's not just that it's sex, it's the intimacy and the physical touch
Right.
of giving and receiving love.
Hmm.
So if he's always grabbing you and hugging you, it doesn't necessarily mean that he wants it. I mean, maybe he does, but it's all wrapped up into that.
It
So
means more than that. It's more than
absolutely.
just the physical act. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
What are
Um,
the other two?
gifts, gift giving.
Gift giving.
Um, And I see this, where if one partner is more, let's say, physical touch and words of affirmation, that's their top two, and their partner doesn't really touch them or say nice things about them or compliment them in any way, but they buy them all these gifts, they don't give a rip about that. That's not
Right.
how they give or receive love. And so
Hmm.
that means they're not buying gifts for you because that's not an important thing, but they're touching you all the time and they're telling you how great you are. But if
Right.
your love language is gift giving,
Yeah.
then and they're never getting you gifts, you don't feel loved or appreciated.
Right.
But they're doing all these other things that
Right.
that's how I show and give,
Yeah.
love. But
And that's where it breaks down is people expect other people to be just like them. So because I love getting gifts, then I just, if I give gifts, then that's the way I show. And, for me personally, I don't care about gifts. Gifts doesn't don't mean anything to
right, me neither, you know. In fact, if I get a gift, it's
me.
weirdly so I feel obligated to get like reciprocate and
All right.
so
For sure.
um and then the last one is just quality time, spending time together.
Hmm.
There are many women who really enjoy this, who really want this. And quality time doesn't necessarily mean sex or intimacy. It could just mean
Right.
hey, we snuggle and watch a movie together, or we go out and do something together.
Right.
Having adventures, or going out to theme parks, or taking a vacation and just spending time together, where you're not on your phone or you're not engaged with work stuff or it's not a group of people where we're going out to a party with a lot of people. It's just time together where
Right.
you talk and discuss. And sometimes we feel like we're doing or engaging in quality time when in fact we're doing separate things. Like if you're lying in bed watching a movie, and my wife and I do this all the time where we're playing on the iPads, and watching the movie or answering text messages or whatnot. That's not necessarily quality time together. That's we're in the same room, same area together, but
Mhm.
it's not the quality time is we turn those things off and
Right.
we talk to one another. We spend time, we hold hands, we talk about our future, talk about crazy people at work. That's quality time.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the five love languages, and they incorporate a lot of ways that people give and receive love. Some people also, the way that they receive love might be different than the way they give love, and so
Hmm.
I think it's
That's
good to
usually
talk
the
about that.
case.
Yeah,
That's usually the case. So it's important to understand how you give and how you receive,
yeah.
and having that conversation with your partner as well.
And coming back to the expectations, you need to fully express like what are your unspoken expectations? Don't let them remain unspoken. Share those with your partner.
Yeah.
This is how I receive love, or when you do these things, they make me feel important to you. And
Right.
so, hint, hint, keep doing those
All
things.
right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's really, that not having that communication is the breakdown. And we see that a lot. Um, and I will always go back to that when I do couples counseling, which isn't that often anymore. But, I'll give them the assignment to read the love languages and then identify um, what it is, how they give and how they receive, and then post that like on the refrigerator, in some words. So it's just a daily reminder
Yeah.
about how I give and how I receive and how your partner gives and receives. So it's a a reminder on how I need to, when they'd say, what is it, women are from Mars, or women are from Venus, guys are
Men are
from
from
Mars or
Mars, women
something.
are from Venus. Yeah.
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 So it's true. We speak different languages. And it's not just women and men, it's partners. People speak different languages.
Hmm. Now, um, the love you have for chicken wings or ice cream, very different than the love you have for your close friend,
Right?
or your pets, or your spouse or your partner, or your mother and
Right.
father, or, like it's all very different. And, it's still love, but it's just not the same. I mean, and so I run into this at times when um, some, people are dating, but they're not so much just boyfriend or girlfriend. They're a little bit more than that, but they're not quite married yet. But the usually one person is quick to "I love you," and then the other person kind of holds that back because maybe there's some apprehension there, or maybe there's some baggage that they want to clear up, or maybe they're totally not committed to the relationship. But all these different reasons. But then they hear their partner saying, "Oh man, I love these chicken wings," or "I really love that place," or "I love this, that, and the other thing." But then they say, "Well, hey, I love you," and they're like, "Cool, thanks, man."
Cool, bro.
Yeah,
Right. And
cool
then
story.
we also see people substituting one love of one thing for another. So they want a primary relationship in their life, and it's not going in that direction. So they replace other things that they love.
Right. Mhm.
Unfortunately, sometimes that's food or alcohol or
Yeah.
those
What's
male
not
things.
love? How about let's tackle that? What is not love?
Control, dominance, those kinds of things. People have, unfortunately, we see situations where, if you loved me, you would do what I say. If you loved me, you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't talk to other people. You wouldn't, whatever. They feel their love is conditional,
Right.
which love should never be conditional.
Right. It should always feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, love should always feel good.
Mhm.
Um, when you first get into a relationship, a romantic type of relationship. There's infatuation, there's lust, there's all that. Those are not love. That's not
Right.
love. Love, and I, I really don't like this concept of falling in or out of love with
Mhm.
someone. I don't know. I just have a hard time with that because we're supposing that love is just a feeling when it can be a choice.
Mhm.
Like you choosing to love this person. I mean, think about culturally in other countries where they have arranged marriages, like
Right.
that love is developed over time, and it's probably
Mhm.
not there at the very beginning, but it's a choice. And then they do loving things for the other person. And then that eventually kind of morphs into something even deeper, physical, spiritual, emotional connection with the person. But they have to choose to do that. So,
Right. And, when you choose to, when you love someone and get in that primary relationship, you may not always like them. You might always
right.
love them, but there are some times where you may not like them very much.
Sure.
And that's okay. And you know, that's an okay thing.
I'm sure you've experienced that with your kids. You still love them.
I always love them.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, they have their moments. Nah, they're great kids.
And them you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They still always love you, but there might be times where they're not too fond of dad right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
And that's
So,
probably because you gave them some tough love.
right.
What's tough love? Let's talk about
What
that.
is it? I mean, sometimes it's the truth that people don't want to hear. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's holding people accountable for their actions.
Right.
Sometimes it's just expressing your opinion.
Right. So stopping enabling them to continue with the certain behaviors that are
Right.
in that are making them not the best version of themselves. So tough love could be that, I'm going to pull back a little bit, whether that's financially, or even emotionally, just so they have the opportunity to experience that adversity and
Right.
grow from that.
Yeah.
And that could be some tough love.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because the lessons we learn in life are usually
Ooh.
not from our successes. I mean, some from successes, but we
Right.
learn really great lessons from failures.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
it's hard to watch other people fail, particularly your kids. It's hard to watch them make mistakes, but you got to. And us Gen Xers, we are not really good with that. Um, we've talked about parenting styles, and we
Yeah.
wanted to do things different than our boomer parents did to us. So we didn't let our kids make some mistakes sometimes, and
Hmm.
that's not a good thing.
However, you're defining love right now, I want you to spend some time considering how was it when you were growing up? Because that's where you learned how
Yeah.
to define all these different types of love in relation to whatever the thing is that you're loving or being loving towards, to include yourself. So when
Right.
you were growing up, how did your family express love? How did they give love? What did you see going on? Because you're probably replicating that right now. And based upon your attachment styles, to your family of origin, that's how you're attaching to people now, and that's how you're loving them or not. And those have led to your own expectations of what the other person could do, but they have had a different experience growing up
Right.
than you.
Yeah, that's how we learn about love is what we watch in our primary family and our primary relationships. And but not only that, some people that haven't didn't have the best upbringing or the best childhood experiences, they looked for love, and definitions of love outside of that as well, like big media, like the movies, that we watched at the time, and the people that we saw around us. So a lot of times people have like, I don't want, and let me back up for a minute. So we do learn like from our families, even if it wasn't the best expression, but we seem to replicate those, right?
Right.
As
Yeah.
well.
Hmm.
That's a bad statistic, but people that grow up in domestic violence households, cognitively are aware I never want to grow up in these situations. And unfortunately, too many times they grow up and get involved with domestic violence relationships themselves. It's
They
because
continue
it's
the
what they
patterns.
know.
Yeah, they continue the patterns.
Yep.
There's this biological component to love. And I think this is where people fall into the I'm falling in or out of love with somebody. So when we um, have this release of hormones, be it dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins. This is the biological love that creates the feelings of
Mm-hmm.
loving. And that could be with a spouse or partner. It could also be with your pet, you know. You
Mm-hmm.
you have your pet sitting on your lap, you're petting the dog, it's
Mm-hmm.
releasing oxytocin for you and also for them. And there's that feeling of love and a bond between the both of you, or snuggling with your partner, like there's oxytocin that's being released, feel good chemicals. And that's a biological representation of love. But there's other types too. So,
But you're right. Sometimes as the relationship develops and you learn more about life and your partner and whatever, and you don't have that release of oxytocin or those things anymore. That's how
right.
people say, well, I don't feel good like I used to, so I must be falling out of love with them.
Right. Right. And it could be a different type of love that
Mhm.
has emerged, more of a psychological and emotional love,
Yeah. It's the common joke. You always see those old married couples that all they do is bicker, right?
Uh-huh.
And they just argue and back and forth, but you get in between them and they will like murder you because
Yeah,
they
exactly.
desperately love each other. But
Yep. I had that with my sister, like we definitely loved each other and I would stand up for her in front of anybody, but of course when we were together it was just all bickering and arguing.
all right.
Um just funny like that, but don't
Yeah.
mess with her.
Yeah, that's funny. My brother and I fought a lot when we were younger. I mean, that's all we did was fight and argue,
Yeah.
get on each other's nerves. And then
Mhm.
today he's like one of my best friends, and we don't live near each other, but we talk, usually once a week ish,
Yeah.
and that,
There are people out there that don't necessarily have the same or value or put an importance on love of another human being, whether that's a friendship or family or spouse or partner. But they have a love. That's a little bit far greater than just liking, like I love chicken wings, but on things like material possessions or
Mhm.
money or being successful. And so that takes the first chair, so to speak, for them because that's what they value. That's what's really important to them. So I think understanding that
Yeah,
about yourself and maybe about others that you're with is really important, especially if you're engaging in a relationship with somebody who maybe not have the value. They're in a relationship because that's what they need to do, because that's what they're programmed to do, but they might have more of a love of success and money than they do you.
right.
And is
And
that
those
okay with you?
things, those things are filling a void as well, success, possessions, material possessions, all those things are filling a need. And some people just love that stuff, and that's true. But
Yeah.
it's also, how do I feel because I am successful? How do I feel because I have this amassed this collection of precious items?
Yeah.
And it feeds their ego at some level.
Hmm.
Yeah, we talk about validation, internal versus external validation. When we were kids, we were teenagers, we all did dumb things because we were trying to impress our friends because we got
Hmm.
our validation externally from other people.
Yeah.
It started with our parents, then we broke away from them, and then it was our friend group, and then, hopefully what we're hoping to happen for everybody is instead of seeking external validation, we seek internal validation. I'm happy with myself.
Yes.
I'm pleased that I do this and that it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of people that are still in adulthood seeking that external validation,
Hmm. So that's a good segue into self-love. So what does that look like?
right?
It's something that we talk about a lot
Right?
with clients, and some of the more codependent ones, they still have a hard time putting
Yeah,
the attention and energy
right,
on themselves. So, I mean, if your love language is such, whatever take the test and however you measure up, maybe it's acts of service or words of affirmation. If you need to give love to yourself, then do those things
right, for
to
sure.
yourself or for yourself.
I think of self-love as me doing what's important that serves my needs, right? I'm in a committed relationship and that's important to me. But at the end of the day, no one is going to take care of me like I do. And I
Right?
have to feel good about myself and the things that I do before I can successfully, let another person into my life. So
Right.
for me, I have to take care of myself first. And
Right.
I know that sounds selfish a little bit, but it's really not, you know.
No.
And how do I express self-love to myself? I get exercise. I eat good nutrition. I do the basic things to make myself feel good. I get sleep, right? I
Right.
prioritize my health and mental health to make sure I'm the best person that I can be so that I can engage in outside relationships.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to take care of yourself first because if you don't, then how are you going to be able to give that to somebody else?
Yeah,
If you can't love yourself, I know we say this a lot in therapy, if you
right.
can't love yourself, you really cannot love somebody else,
Right.
not to your best ability.
Hmm.
There's going to be a lacking somewhere.
Yeah,
And if
absolutely.
you're physical touch, that doesn't mean just, touching yourself all the time, it's
Hey,
although if that's what you choose to do,
hey,
do that, but
hey, yeah,
it could be, like exercising and using skincare products on yourself and focusing
yeah,
on your just your physical health and well-being. That's physical, touch in nature, massaging certain areas of your body when they're sore, or, getting a lacrosse ball in that, rhomboid area because it's bothering you, like that could be, considered some self-love, some self-care, instead of just, dealing with the pain all the time.
right? And I talk with people every day about what do you do for yourself that brings you joy? What brings you joy? Because that's what it's about. Life is not about, you work to live, you don't live to work. So some
Yeah,
people have this enmeshed relationship with employment because it
right,
validates them and they're still seeking external validation. But, what is it that brings you joy? And I can't tell you how many people, when I ask that question, half of them say, I don't know.
right.
What do you mean you don't know?
Which is kind of disturbing.
It's like, yeah, it used to be scary. Now it's just like, yeah, of course.
Just like,
So, and my thing is you need to find 10 to 30 minutes a day to do something that brings you joy,
yeah,
right? At the very least. Sometimes it should be hours, whatever. And I have my whole list of things that bring me joy. And, sometimes it seems like a burden, but at least I do them so that I know in my brain I'm validating and I'm prioritizing myself.
yeah. So here's
I
a
love to ride
question,
motorcycles, but I can't ride a motorcycle every day. Motorcycles
right?
bring me joy, but I can't do it. But there's
Yeah,
other things that bring me joy. I love to read. So sometimes I'll just read like for 15 minutes and I read 2 pages. And I'm really not even reading. But I'm showing myself that I've prioritized myself. This is what I enjoy, even
yeah,
though I'm not getting anything out of it right now. But
right. Yeah.
I'm telling myself, I am demonstrating to myself and my brain that I am important.
And that's so vital that you do that. So self-love is important for mental health. How else can love, maybe outside love, from someone else, influence our mental and emotional health?
Yeah. Say that again, Tom. I didn't hear you. I got a garbage truck in my background. I'm broadcasting from my lovely porch today, and of
How does
course,
love,
every sound out there,
how does love influence our mental and emotional health?
right?
Yeah.
Well, for some people, it's it defines them. I have to be in a relationship because if I'm not, I'm not successful.
Right.
Is that true?
Something's
Should we
missing.
always take a look at that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and why is that true for you? Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Primary relationships and being in a relationship with another person it can be a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But it should bring you joy. It should bring you peace. It should, be something that you want instead of something that you have to have. And
Right.
people
So it's
stay in
imperative
comfort.
that you have self-love
Right.
for your mental and emotional health, but not imperative that you have love coming from
Right.
outside. But that helps. I mean, that
Sure.
definitely can have a positive influence. It also can be your demise
Yeah.
if
Well, how many
that's what you're
times have
only
we
focused
seen
on.
people stay in bad relationships just because they don't want to be alone?
Correct.
Well, you're kind of alone in this relationship. What are you getting out of it? Frustration, anger, sadness,
Right.
you know?
Why stay in it?
All
Right.
right.
You're participating in your own, abuse.
Yeah.
So you need to give love to yourself. That's
Right.
imperative for your own mental and emotional health. But the love that comes from something outside of you can be a bonus, but
Yeah.
it's not imperative. And that's where I
Right.
think a lot of people go wrong is that they feel like they need to have that, and or else they're empty, or else
Yeah.
something is not right, or else they can't move forward. And I
Right.
understand that. I've definitely been in that place before. So if you feel like you're in that place, then redirect that attention, that love towards yourself,
Yeah.
and see how you feel. Because oftentimes that loving relationship that you seek or desire will come when you're not looking for it.
Absolutely. And if you're moping around, no one wants to hang out with the big mope. So, but
Right?
if you're happy and you're smiling, I mean, people are attracted to that. That's what they want to be around. They want to be around happy, adjusted, you know, s- good self-concepted people. And so be that.
Attraction. Ooh, there's a topic for another podcast.
Ooh.
because that's similarly in the same regard can be
Yeah.
defined many different ways, and people are
And
attracted to different things.
yeah. Yeah, that's a whole concept because and a lot of times we can't define what we're attracted to. We just know you walk into a room, there's 100 people, and you're like, your eyeballs fall on one person.
Right?
And it's usually, well, no, it's not usually. Many times it's the wrong person for you. It's just,
Yeah.
it's funny when people have,
Um,
failed relationships and, multiple marriages and whatever. And I'm like, tell me how all of your exes are similar.
uh-huh.
And they're like, oh, they're very different. They couldn't be anything alike. Okay, well,
Yeah.
find one similarity. And then the next thing I hear about 30 similarities.
Right, right. There are times when somebody's talking about their ex and they have five of them, right? And they're talking about one of them, and I have a hard time like, was that, such and such or the other one? Oh, that was whomever. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay. I couldn't tell because
Yeah.
they're
And
they're
sometimes
five of the
it's
same
looks.
people.
Sometimes it's looks, dark hair, whatever, blondes, whatever.
Yeah.
Bald, of course. But a lot of times it's their emotional maturity or their love languages or their
Right.
something else that you is very subconscious that you can't see. Um,
Yeah.
they're the same narcissistic person,
Have we touched on anything for you guys out there? Please send your
right?
comments or questions to therapyunzipped.com
Yeah.
and let's get into it. We'd love to answer your questions and yeah, maybe we can talk about attraction, the laws of attraction and what people
Yeah.
are attracted to and what we've gleaned from our clients over the years in therapy and kind of get
And
into that.
attachment styles, that'd be another good one too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of you out there would probably like. And attachment styles have gained a lot of popularity on social media over the past few years,
Yeah.
so I think that would be perfect. So,
Right. So we're getting a lot of comments from you that you love the show, you love listening to us, and we appreciate those acts of affirmation. We love those.
yeah,
But send us your questions as well. Send us what do you want to hear from us? What questions do you have? What can we answer for you?
yep. We love that you love the show.
Right.
And how can we make it better? What would you
Yeah.
like to see? What would you like to hear?
All right. I'll go indoors next time so we're not bugged by the garbage truck and dogs barking and wind blowing.
Okay. Hey,
But
that's
but I
life.
wanted to show you all because a lot of you are in other parts of the world that, down here in sunny Florida in February, it's, a balmy 78 degrees and the wind's blowing. So
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're only listening to this, we also have this on YouTube. So
yeah, absolutely.
you want to watch our, you know, um bearded faces, I guess you can go to YouTube.
Well, I won't be here with y'all next week. I am flying up north into DC for work for a week and it's gonna snow. What have I done to myself? I have to put on real clothes and go into real weather. No.
Enjoy. Dust that puffy jacket out from the storage
Yeah.
facility.
Ay, ay, ay.
It's in the box right next to
Yeah, no kidding.
the cribs you used 20 some odd years ago.
I wear shorts and t-shirts every day. I don't put on clothes.
Yeah.
I don't put
Just
on real
jog to
clothes.
where. Just jog to wherever you're going. That'll warm you
Right.
up. He's out there in the snow doing jumping jacks.
Oh, geez. I
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, me and Snow don't get along anymore.
Yeah.
We got divorced.
Or what or what if you just do some suitcase carries with your kettlebell and then if you have to stand
There
there
you
and wait
go.
for a cab, you do some goblet squats or swings or something.
Sounds good.
Hey, you got to get your 50 swings in.
Absolutely. Yeah, swinging my suitcase.
Yeah,
All
man.
right, Tom, thank you for your time. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you. And we'll see. I'll be here next week and then we'll both be back together the following week. So hope
All
you
right.
guys have enjoyed.
Sounds good.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.